justice for all.
Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting, May the 6th, 2025. Is there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
We shall proceed. Speak with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, County Auditor.
Good morning. I have filled the payroll deputy position in my office, so I would like to introduce everyone to Lane Bootmaker back here, who'd like to so looking forward to doing some training and getting things going in the office. Reminder, Rural Spring Cleanup is happening now through June 7th, so take advantage of that. Other than that, just business as usual.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Colin Durst.
Good morning, just keeping busy like always, trying to finish up on some projects and get some equipment and stuff operated, but overall, nothing really new.
Working out pretty good. How about Rodney, the maintenance?
Good morning, just busy. I have an agenda item this morning, other than that, nothing new to report this morning.
Okay, thank you. Jared?
Like the same thing as Rodney, got one agenda item on today, but other than that, just keeping busy as usual, so nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff Clendon?
Hi, good morning. Let's see, last week we graduated our youth academy, the 10 participants. Actually, Brad, our chief deputy, took them out on the river. That's usually what we do on our final youth academy day. We do a graduation and a little celebration. So that went really well, great experience, and got to interact with our area youth for that. Other than that, our law enforcement side's been extremely busy, a lot of new cases coming in. Online work has been very busy. Our jail is at 92 this morning, 92 adults, and numbers fluctuating there, but we're able to get down to 13 out of county, but that will likely fluctuate back up.
How many you got waiting on those jails?
We have 3 this morning and then 2 waiting on the residential facility. We'll see how court pans out from yesterday and today. Right now it's 3. Always moving my numbers out there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Trent, how's the attorney's office?
We're doing good. Just upstairs and just did a jury today. Busy primarily here for the work session afterwards, of course.
Yeah, I might mention now that you said that work session that we're gonna have starting at 10:30. It'll be right here in the boardroom, so. Janelle, I see you back there. How's your trade golf?
Good morning. We are keeping busy. I will mention that we did mail out our delinquent notices and notice of tax sale last Thursday, so we're starting to see some of that trickle in. But other than that, we're keeping busy.
Good. Thank you. Natalie, recorder's office.
Good morning. Everything's going well in the recorder's office. Nothing new to report.
Okay, thank you. Shannon,
Good
how's
morning.
emergency management?
It is beautiful outside. I'm not gonna jinx it for the rest of the week, but today is nice. We do have the siren testing tomorrow at 6 p.m., but otherwise, just business as usual for me.
Thank you. Angie, safety department.
Good morning. Same thing, just keeping busy, but pretty much business as usual, so.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, secondary roads.
Good morning. Plenty of stuff going on. If anybody's been out towards the Middletown, Danville area, West Burlington area, Highway 34 is certainly under construction. They are making good headway. Hopefully we'll finish up the 4-lane portion of the overlay today. They will do South Gray Grove tomorrow, and then they'll be starting back into Middletown. So I would advise anybody that has the opportunity to avoid Middletown for probably tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, and possibly Friday. But they'll just keep on moving west. So I would say pretty good chance if things keep moving that they'll finish up the overlay part of it next week, but then they'll jump over and start doing shouldering, get the rock shouldering put in. So they're gonna be working out there for another week to week and a half, get that all buttoned up. So other than that, then once they're completely done, they will move to Highway 99. So it's gonna be a little bit, but if you start to see it wrapping up out there, if you live anywhere near 99, you'll know that it's coming your direction.
Thank you. I didn't miss anybody, did I? You know,
I don't think so.
might wanna, there's a lot of people in here today. I know some of you are in here for the regular meeting, but we are gonna have that work session at 10:30, and that'll be right here in this room too. There's going to be a sign-in sheet, so you can see Mr. Carter after this meeting here and sign in if you wanna speak. And then you will, we'll call you in order that you signed in, so that'll be after this meeting.
Might wanna mention that, since 10:30 was published.
Yeah.
So if we can't start before then, because that's what people are counting on, is the 10:30, so, anyway, so.
Okay. Moving on. Correspondence, do you have any correspondence? I have not here.
None there. I have, as I assume you have, I've received a number of emails on both sides of the wind energy issue.
Yes, I have. Yes, okay. So move on to discussion vote. We have accounts payable claims. Due to $1,045,377.76.
Motion to approve.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. We have the abatement of property taxes, partial 16-05-288-002. City of Berlin. The city is requesting relief for any and all property taxes associated with the following property. The location is 16-05-288-02.
This is only pro forma.
Yep.
They asked for it, we have to give it to them, so
Yeah.
I have no objection. So moved.
Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. Okay, we have the, need approval of the Moines County Courthouse and Public Building Security Plan.
Good morning, this is Courthouse and Public Building Security Plan, 2015, the Iowa Association of Counties and Iowa Judicial Council came together for some guidelines and strongly recommended that every county have a policy in place, so we've had one since, I believe, 2016. We had our annual meeting, we have a meeting once a year, kind of review the policy and see if there needs to be any changes or anything like that. We had that last week. Had some good discussion, we just had some minor changes with members on the committee, but other than that, it's pretty much the same as what we had last year. So, committee would like recommend for approval from the board.
Obviously, this isn't a public document for obvious reasons. It's a security plan, so motion to approve the security plan.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. We have a resolution 2025-24 for the final plat for the Fenton Lexus subdivision. Jared, this would be you.
This is a one-lot minor subdivision northeast of Minneapolis, pretty close to the Weiser County line. It's about 2.5 acres, and it's being split off from a family trust property for a family member to build a house on that lot. It's kind of an odd shaped lot, but it's meant to address for the fact that there's a wooded area a little bit back from the road, but some farmland in front of it, so it's basically keeps the farmland in the trust, whereas the land to the back is where the house will be developed. And it does have a 33-foot wide entrance. Actually, that's at the center line, so it's a little bit wider at the right-of-way line, so and it widens from there, because it basically matches up with a lot to the south that was previously split off for a couple decades ago. So overall, no major issues with this one came up. There was a comment from the Natural Resource Conservation Service, NRCS, acknowledging that there is a CRP conservation easement in place for a portion of this property, which is being split off. So we spoke with the subdivider and confirmed that they are aware of that. The issue being that in order to build on that property, they would first need to amend that CRP agreement and to remove that portion of it in order to build. So they said they were fully aware of it. In fact, they were in the process of coordinating with NRCS up in Louisa County, or the Farm Bureau, and getting that straightened out. So, but just as a precaution, then we have an acknowledgement of that on the resolution that basically says that the county has notified the subdivider of that, and then the county is not held responsible if, for whatever reason, that was violated. So, apart from that, we do have a condition included on there, just the standard. Anytime there's a house to be developed and they haven't put in the septic yet, just an acknowledgement for the health department that they are required to get a permit for a septic system prior to construction, and then have it installed prior to moving in. So we just have those two conditions added on there and recommend approval.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. Jared will sign the other documents
Yep,
after the
yep.
meeting, okay?
No problem.
And again, thank you for sending this to us so we
Oh,
can
yeah,
do
that
this
was-
in advance. We
yeah.
really appreciate that. Now, moving on, we have personnel action. We have two for the correctional center. First one is Peyton Krogemeyer, correctional officer. Unpaid hours, 77.11 for military leave. The second one is for, help me out on this name, Patrick
Ogrezoff.
Ogrezoff, okay. And going from full-time to part-time status. Previous rate $26.49, the new rate $21.19.
Motion to approve both.
Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. I have two of them from conservation. First one is Derek Kester, resignation. Last day of work, 5/9/25. So final rate of pay was $47,698.56. The next one, he was a conservation tech. The next one is Tanner Gerhardt, National Resource Manager. It's an anniversary. Previous rate, $47,698.56 to $48,921.60. Effective date, May 16th.
Motion to approve both.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have one for Laney Lutnager, payroll first deputy, at the auditor's office. She is a new hire, and the new rate is $48,202.56.
Motion to approve.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. We are glad to have her on board. And we have the minutes for the regular meeting on April 29, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Have any other business?
I have none with, but one possible exception. Mr. Nagrati, I suspect you're here checking to see what we talked about last week.
Yes, sir.
About a county match for that workforce credit. Anyway, I've spoken to somebody about it again this week, and I still don't have an answer for you, but it is, hopefully, we will have an answer for you shortly.
Okay. If I needed to talk with Nick at the state to get him in contact with you, I can as well.
And if that's necessary, well, we'll get back to you and let you know. I don't have, research is still going on, ongoing.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
That's all I have.
Future agenda items? Don't have any right now.
I don't have
Committee reports. I did not have a meeting last week.
any. I attended the courthouse security meeting that Rodney described, and that was it.
Okay, it's time for public input. We'll give you 2 minutes to talk on the public input. You can call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4. That's 319-753-8203 extension 4. Or email board@dmcounty.com. That's board@dmcounty.com. So, anybody have anything public to say? Yes.
Rose Fisher. I've been spending quite a bit of time on the Des Moines County website lately. It's a really good website. There's a notify option on there where you can sign up to receive emails that things are posted. Is there an opportunity maybe to update that so that you could just generate a mass email and email those items out?
So every Tuesday, or every Friday when I post the agenda, I click on that and it will generate an email to whoever has those notifies set up.
Okay, but currently, I think it only for Board of Supervisors has meeting
It's only
and
for Board of
agendas?
Correct.
So what about any special notices, or notice of special meetings, I don't know what other, or work sessions, could that be added?
Work sessions will be included with the agenda.
Okay,
They're all posted together.
okay,
As far as other special things that we post, I'll have to see if we can add that in there with our website, company. I'm not sure if we can do that.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Laura Blanchard, 1 Concord Drive in Burlington. I had originally wanted to come for the work session, but I have work commitments, as I think that a lot of people probably do this time of day. So I was just coming to ask the board to consider an evening session for the work session topic on the wind energy and the wind turbines. I do think that there's enough interest, social media, it's a hot topic. People on both sides of the issue, a lot of information on both sides of the issue. So I think it would be really worth the community's while to have a possible work session in the evening that more people, different people could get to.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
Hello, Robert Garrettson. I just want to reiterate what she said. It would be far more effective to have it in the evening so that more people can attend. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, can you give your name?
Excuse me?
Your name?
Robert Garrettson.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question. Jim.
Oh.
Back here.
I really don't like this spot. Tom, it's for Tom, and it's regards to the housing tax credits for the development with Midwest Realty. Is there any, can you give any more detail on what you're working on?
I really not have really share it with anybody other than the people I'm working with. It's a cash equivalent, so in other words, that would, the county would spend an amount equal to or in excess of whatever the minimum.
$1,000 per unit.
$1,000 per unit. How many units
How
are there?
many units?
56.
56. We would spend that, for this property, or to improve this property, or whatever. But it would be an equivalent, something equivalent to cash. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just try to save me some embarrassment. But I don't have an answer, but that's what it is. It would be an improvement that would
Infrastructure based.
help infrastructure or whatever that would help Mr. Nagraki's project. Something like that, yeah.
So, my next question then, Ryan, what infrastructure improvements are you looking at for them to fund?
So that's all a rural-based system, so there's quite a large septic systems out there. There's also, it's all gravel county roads that are very beat up and used throughout the property, and the public road that runs through the side of it. The utilities out there are also, if you drive out there and look at it, you'll notice. I mean, it was a property that was built in the 90s, but very dilapidated under the state's definition of that. And so, what we're trying to do is bring back affordable housing to the area. It was a very highly underutilized asset, and I think everybody in the room supports affordable housing with the current rental market and everything, and that's what we're trying to do. Those units were less than 35% occupied when we bought that, and so this program just helps do that. We've been successful in doing this in the past throughout the greater Burlington area and developing new projects. The state now allows you to use this same program to improve existing properties. So that's what we're looking at doing. This one just happens to fall in the county, not in the city, like the other projects that we've done.
So do you have any, actual costs for any of these items?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the total renovation budget out there is a little over 2.3 million. So we're gonna be able to triple the assessed value of that property over the next several years. So the small investment, from the county will definitely return back over the course of time. We've already invested a little over $1 million into the project.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a comment on this situation if I can.
Your name?
Mike Buster's my name. I live out there. I've lived out there for 54 years. And in the first place, there was too many apartments built for that area for what it was. These guys have showed up and you've remodeled what?
We got 20 of them currently finished.
So, my issue is they've got people living out there that don't know how to pick up their trash, that throw their trash in the yard. It's unbelievable. you folks need to take a ride out there and see the situation things are in. So I don't know how you go about getting people to take care of where they're living, but it is a very sad situation out there. The sheriff used to be out there every week. I'm sure they can verify how many trips they've made out to those apartments with the people living there in the past. Has the sheriff got any comment on this?
Yeah, so I made a comment last week, and I'll just reiterate on that, is, the apartments are located in a geographical area that, is outside the 2,000-foot residential restrictions for a sex offender, that's been convicted of an aggravated offense against a child. So the truth is in the past, those apartments have been, an area where sex offenders have registered and lived.
Many of them.
And not just that, but it's attracted sex offenders from outside of Des Moines County because it's a rarity to find apartments like that. That, along with that came other issues. There's drug issues, there's overdose issues, there was, with drugs comes violent crime. We have a very low level of violent crime in rural Des Moines County. I can tell you, 2 years ago, the year that I'm referring to, we had 2 violent crime incidents, and those occurred there. Now since then, we've seen that reduce in the very recent past. There have been, I'll just tell you that Brian's partner, John Mercer, came down to the sheriff's office. He's working on evictions. He's removing those sex offenders, and I happened to talk to John out in front of the sheriff's office. He asked to speak with me about this process, and those people are being removed from those apartments. They have different plans for the future of them. That has resulted in several of those that had come to Des Moines County to leave Des Moines County. And I think that's a positive change. I understand that they have to have a place to reside and call home, but I'd prefer us not to be an attractive place for them to come to. They're in the process of removing additional individuals that really we don't want to see residing out there. And we've already seen a great reduction in that. And I would say that we're out there way more than once a week.
Well, I've watched you guys show up, and I watched them guys run across our yards, running away from you guys. I've watched this, so I live it.
Yeah, and we want to see improvements out there too. We're really hopeful to see that turn into an attractive area. And I think some of those improvements, you can see some of them that are happy regardless. I would love to see, as I said last week, that if there can be a creative way for the county's match portion, that $56,000 to go back into actual county property, into the roads, into the infrastructure. So it's, because my understanding is that it doesn't necessarily have to support the actual buildings where you're supporting a private business, but we can improve the roads out there, we can improve the area around it, and meet the match that way. I would love to see that, and I think that's what the board might be investigating.
I want you to understand, you've got a cemetery there, and you've got a church there, and then you've got the apartments there that a lot of these people just do not care about taking care of property. It is really sad to drive by this every single day, and that's what we have to do, is drive by there every single day.
I don't want to speak for anybody, but I'm hopeful that everybody in that area will see improvements. I've talked to you, Mr. Buster, but I've talked to a number of other residents in that area.
I heard you have.
And have spoken about the improvements they'd love to see, and as would we. We don't want to see, it's a beautiful area out there, and we don't want to see it be to that level. So hopefully, we're already starting to see changes, and hopefully there's more to come.
Well, I appreciate that, but as of now, from the construction, there's stuff that hadn't been picked up, the grass hasn't been mowed. It just looks like a slum right now. With all those nice remodeled apartments, it needs to get in there and clean it up and have these people take care of it. Who's living there, take care of what they got.
I can speak to that real fast. We do have 7 new 7 of the units that have been remodeled, we have tenants in. We only kept, out of the 20-some that were originally there when we bought that property, we only kept 3 people. The rest of them are being evicted because, you know, I was born and raised here in Des Moines County in Burlington, and I think our development record and our sales of what we've done should speak for itself, and we want to clean the property up. And part of short-term pain for long-term gain. So it might look a little bit messy through construction of the grass, but some of those people that are still living out there that we haven't got rid of, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna keep taking care of people's stuff that don't deserve to be there. And so we're trying to clean the property up over time. And, we wanna be a good neighbor,
Yep,
you know, and.
that's what we want.
Yep,
Thanks.
yep.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Then with an aye, we will be out of here, and remember, our work station will be right here, it starts 10:30, because that's the way it's published, so. And I might tell you that, again, if you want to speak during that work station, sign in with, Mr. Carter over there.
Aye.
Aye, Roger. Mike, what question for you?
Yeah.
His name's Lindy, mean anything to you?
Harrison or something like that? Who did you wanna donate your time to?
Getting else.
All right, thank you.
That's kind of positive.
Okay, everybody, according to US Cellular, it is 10:30, so we're gonna start having this meeting. Got a couple things.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I tried to get everybody. Did I miss somebody? Please raise your hand if I missed you. All right, so if I botch anything, particularly your name, I apologize for that. But I will call you for speaking. I think a lot of people are donating, so there won't be a whole lot of calling. But I'll try to give the person that's gonna speak, that's got a bunch of time donated, an idea of how many minutes it looks like it's donated, just so you know in advance.
Okay.
Sorry, Tim.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, we thought there might be a good turnout, and evidently there is, but we apologize for the limited seating, with spaces limited in the courthouse, when the courthouse and the courtrooms are in use. The Board of Supervisors is interested in hearing everyone's thoughts. For those of you who would like to speak, there's a sign-in sheet, and that's what Brian takes care of. And have not signed in, please see Brian. Is anybody raising their hand? And he will come and get you. In order to give everyone who wants to speak the opportunity, there are a few rules. We ask you to be respectful of all speakers and don't interrupt. Speakers will be called in the same order in which they signed in. Speakers will direct their comments to the Board of Supervisors rather than others in attendance. To respect the time of everyone in attendance, we will keep the board interaction to an absolute minimum during public comments. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes. When your time is up, please stop speaking and return to your seat. If you have a handout or written information you would like to give the board, please hand it to Brian after you have spoken. So we're trying to change that where we let some other people speak and give their time up, so some of you's gonna be a little longer than 3 minutes, so. Brian, would you proceed?
You ready?
Yep.
All right. First person signed up, Evie, right? And when you come up to the podium, please still give your name and address or anything, just like we would do in any meeting, so.
Good morning. Firstly, thank you for allowing me the time to speak here today. My name is Evie and I'm the project developer of the Big River Wind Farm, which is being developed by AES. To that end, I'm based out of Boulder, Colorado. The Big River project is 168 megawatts, located in northwest Des Moines County, primarily in the Yarmouth area and going no further south than Pleasant Grove. To date, there are nearly 12,000 acres participating in the project through voluntary leases with private landowners. And in terms of timeline, we expect to go for a county permit sometime mid-2026, with construction starting early 2028 and being operational by 2029. All that being said, I do want to be clear that this project is still in its early stages, and there's much work to be done in developing it. However, we are confident that this project could be successful, and we are fully committed to developing it. And to provide some context on that, we have already invested $1.3 million in this project, and that includes nearly $400,000 in private landowner payments. And at the end all be all, we expect the total cost of development and planning to be about $30 million, and the total cost to build to be about $400 million. So the total investment of this project will be $430 million. Investing resources on this scale obviously requires thorough research and very careful consideration. This project will be thoughtfully designed and in alignment with all applicable standards. This project will of course also increase the county tax base, and for this work session I can share some preliminary numbers which will be further defined once we get a little bit further down into project development. But for now, early estimates indicate that this project could generate $2.6 million annually in tax revenue to the county, which works out to be approximately $80 million over the project's lifetime. We also recognize that wind projects are community-based projects. As a long-term owner-operator, AES aims to establish durable partnerships throughout the project's lifetime. To give you some information on AES, we are a US-based Fortune 500 energy company, and we are one of the largest renewable energy owner-operators in the country, with 7.9 gigawatts of projects currently in operations. And that's equivalent to about 47 projects of this size. Importantly, we do not develop projects to sell them. We develop to own and operate them. We are committed to being in this community for the long haul, and to that end, seek to develop a proactive community partnership. I understand that there is a request to put a moratorium on wind permitting here in Des Moines County. And I do feel that the ordinance here could be improved to clarify developer responsibilities and also address community concerns. But a moratorium is not the solution we would typically recommend to do that. Moratoriums can stop projects and of course can stop the benefits that come with them. This county currently has an ordinance in place for evaluating projects, and this project has been developed following that ordinance in good faith. But a moratorium creates uncertainty around the county's decision-making processes and also reduces confidence for landowners in making decisions about their own property, and also for businesses like AES when considering investing in a community. Across industries, we typically see that when a moratorium is imposed, business interest and investment leave, leading to potential economic and job losses that are hard to recover. Now, I understand that some community members may want a moratorium, but please consider the potential public benefit and private landowners' desire to participate in our project. It seems premature to halt the project and the progress that we've made to date before even having a chance to go through the public permitting process through the county requirements. But again, I do want to be clear that we agree the ordinance could be improved, and we fully support reopening it and working with the Regional Planning Commission to draft an improved document. That's all I'll say for now. I want to be sure that everyone here has plenty of time to offer their concerns, but I will be here for the duration of the working session. I have a good team with me, and we're happy to speak again and answer any questions or address any concerns that come up to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie Patton, I'm adding right, you had about 42 minutes.
Well, the good news is I don't think I need 42 minutes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Would it be possible to give you the packet I have for you prior to me speaking so that you could follow along? It's actually the ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Actually, I think I have them enough. There's 3, so one version. So my name is Melanie Patton. I'm from Mount Pleasant, Iowa. I became involved in the conversation about wind energy in January of 2024 when there was a project proposed in Henry County. I have been very involved in Henry County, and actually I just came from a public hearing, our third public hearing this morning at 9 a.m. at the Henry County Courthouse. During this time that I've been involved, I've had the opportunity to not only find out a lot about things in Henry County, but also across the state of Iowa. I have worked with a number of people, supervisors, planning and zoning people, commission members, other landowners, other community members, legislators, people all over. That's also led to speaking with people at the national level concerning wind energy, solar energy, and all that goes along with that. So I have learned a whole lot of stuff in the last about 16 months. What we did in Henry County, just a brief synopsis, is we worked with the Planning and Zoning Commission and assisted them in writing a 40-page comprehensive ordinance. We actually used parts of the Des Moines County ordinance in the Henry County ordinance. We looked at ordinances all across the state of Iowa and used pieces from those that we felt were going to be beneficial to the county, beneficial to community members, and that kind of thing. So I have a pretty in-depth understanding of what's going on across the state of Iowa and what other counties' ordinances look like. So a few weeks ago, Cindy Newberry contacted me to let me know, and actually I knew there was a project plan in Des Moines County because I someone from another part of the state had sent me the FAA permits last fall. So I've been paying attention, but we were very involved in Henry County. And so I've spoken with a few people, but only until recently then did more community members become involved and ask me for some assistance. So that's why I'm here to speak on behalf of the Des Moines County No group. First and foremost, I want to start out by talking about a moratorium. So what a moratorium does is it puts a moratorium on applications. It sounds like from the update from the company that wouldn't necessarily impact them because they're not planning to apply to the county until next year. So even if the moratorium was shorter than 2 years, it would give the county time to look at the ordinance. So that's all it does. It doesn't halt a project. It doesn't stop input. It doesn't stop them from getting contracts signed with landowners, anything like that. So a moratorium gives the county the opportunity to look at the ordinance and make updates and do sessions like this, because obviously with the amount of interest in this room, I don't think one work session is gonna be enough, because it's an important issue and people are concerned. So that's what it does, is it gives time to look at new information. And Mr. Broker, you've spoken and visited Mechanicsville, and you've said, I've read some of your comments in the press, that you're interested in looking at the ordinance and updating it. So it basically gives the supervisors time to do that without being rushed. If there is no moratorium and the county or the company gets their MISO permit, which is what they've applied for, and MISO, if you're not familiar, is basically the interconnection agency, if you will, who runs a transmission line. So they have to apply to see if the project will get permission to hook up to the transmission line. So that's where they've applied. So they haven't applied to the county. And so if they've not applied to the county, then a moratorium can be enacted and it just gives a pause. If there's no moratorium, then the company, if they get their MISO permission sooner than 2026, like has been stated, then they can apply. If you're not ready with the updates to the ordinance, then when they apply, that's what ordinance applies. So it would be the ordinance that is currently on the books. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. The first sentence of your current ordinance states, the purpose of this ordinance is to establish a minimum set of standards for the siting, placement, construction, installation, operation, maintenance, and decommissioning of commercial wind energy conversion systems, or CWECs, in order to protect the health, safety, and community welfare of the residents of Des Moines County. So I think that's very important, and I think that is the mission of any ordinance, is to protect the citizens. Also, other counties have done moratoriums that had easement contracts already filed. In March of last year, there was between 17 and 18,000 acres signed up in Henry County, and our Board of Supervisors put a 1-year moratorium in place. Earlier this year, they extended it for another 6 months. They are getting close now with the updated ordinance, so as soon as the ordinance is approved, then the moratorium will be ended. So there are other counties as well. Clinton County is under a moratorium. Washington County was under moratorium during their ordinance amendment period. So there is plenty of opportunities to see that moratoriums have been used for that purpose. The second thing I'd like to talk about is setbacks. And so I know you guys were handed a 16-point list, and that's on the front of your packet. The 5 things that I would like to talk about are the ones that I highlighted on there. So one is the setbacks. And the second sheet is a thing I made up out of your ordinance, and I just put it into a table so it would be a little bit easier to understand what the setbacks currently are. So currently, from a non-participating occupied dwelling or a civic building, the current setback is 1,800 feet. From a non-participating property line, it is 1.1 times the height of a turbine. So the FAA permits that the company filed for are for 750 feet. I went with a 650-foot turbine just to make it easy because that's what I'm familiar with in Henry County. So 1.1 times the height of a 650-foot turbine is 715 feet. So if I own a property next to an easement holder, I'm only gonna have a 715-foot setback from my property line. So the important thing to remember about property lines versus dwellings is that if I have, I live on a 7-acre property. My house is kind of towards the front, and a little bit towards the east end of my property. So if, they build a turbine on the adjoining parcel to the side that my house doesn't sit close to, it's gonna be further. But if they build close to my property line, and I decide I wanna build a shop or something later on, then that's gonna kind of, impact where I'm able to build. Or if I wanna have a pond and a gazebo, on my property line. So I think there's things other than just homes that are important. And so having the property line have a shorter setback than a home, I don't think is a good thing. So when we're also talking about some of the other setbacks in the ordinance, the one that was interesting to me was the participating or non-participating structure. And it specifies in the ordinance garage, shed, livestock building, or other turbines. So it says it's also 1.1 times the height. That means if the parcel is large enough, and some of the parcels are, and because some of the landowners have multiple parcels together, then that also means that there could be 2 turbines. If you had a 650-foot turbine, that could be only 715 feet apart. I don't know if you visited Adams County, Iowa. They have multiple turbines per parcel over there, and they are very close. Which could be kind of concerning if you have some sort of catastrophic event, like the Greenfield tornadoes last year that took out multiple tornadoes, or multiple turbines in the tornado. So I think there's things to think about there as far as setbacks from other things, also from the right-of-way for the road. So it's also 1.1 times the height. So I believe that those all need to be looked at and increased. The Des Moines County group is asking for 5,280 feet from a non-participating property line. And one thing that I found as we were looking across Iowa is that there is a standard. The companies very rarely will issue a safety manual. Most of the time if you get a safety manual from a company, it's redacted, so you can't read much of it. But the one thing in a widely circulated manual is Nordec's manual. And in that manual, it states that in order for, if they have a crew working on a turbine, if a storm comes up, so that would involve lightning, winds, those kinds of things, that the workers should remove themselves 1 kilometer, which is 3,280 feet, from that turbine during the storm. So if the workers are to remove themselves 1 kilometer from this, but yet we're going to allow a non-participating dwelling to be only 1,800 feet, that's concerning for me, because people in a home aren't going to be able to remove themselves during a storm. You typically seek shelter in your home during a storm. So I believe that we need to be looking at the safety of the people that are going to be near these possible turbines. Also, about the setbacks is, I believe that there should be a setback afforded to incorporated and unincorporated towns. So Burlington currently has a 2-mile radius around it, which is also part of the zoning district that Des Moines County has, because you don't have a zoning district outside of that. So I believe that other incorporated and unincorporated towns in the communities in the county should also be afforded that same setback. So, for instance, Danville, Yarmouth, even though it's not incorporated anymore, Mediapolis, those areas should have that same opportunity to have it set back 2 miles. The other thing that affords is not just for safety and the residents, but also for potential growth. So some towns, I mean, a lot of towns aren't growing, but if we're excluding the opportunity for growth, so if we have turbines right up close to a town, then that basically makes it so you can't have future growth in that area. So I believe that's something to think about. In Henry County, we did the same thing, and for the unincorporated towns, the previous boundaries of that town were used. So like, for instance, we have Mount Union, that town limit will be used. Next, I want to discuss the adding a CSR standard to the ordinance. So the next thing in your packet is the current easements that were signed up as of April 15th. And I went through every single parcel and looked that up and recorded the tillable acres and the CSR for those tillable acres. and broke that out according to CSR score. And so at that time, there was 243 parcels currently under easement. 189 of those were a CSR of 65 and above out of 243, which is 82.31% of those. So as we know, that is amazing farmland out there. And so as I was looking at that, I also found you guys have a really great comprehensive plan. And so the next part of your packet, there are several pages I copied and highlighted out of your comprehensive plan. I also, because I investigated comprehensive plans for our county as well to see what we had on record, I also copied for you the Iowa Code, because Iowa Code does explain what the regulations are for comprehensive plans. So in Iowa Code 335.5, it says regulations and comprehensive plan. That sheet's also in your packet. Number 1, the regulations shall be made in accordance with the comprehensive plan and designed to preserve the availability of agricultural land. I skipped down just a little bit there, and it says to secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other dangers, and to protect health and general welfare. Then in paragraph 2, it says the regulation shall be made with reasonable consideration, among other things, as to the character of the area of the district and the peculiar suitability of such area for particular uses, with a view to conserving the value of buildings and encouraging the most appropriate use of land throughout such county. So I looked in your comprehensive plan, and in that document, the purple highlights are mine, the yellow are something that was highlighted, believe when it was updated. So on page 6, it says limits of power. The comprehensive plan is the foundation for county zoning. Chapter 335.5 states, which is what I just read, zoning regulation shall be made in accordance with a comprehensive plan and designed to preserve the availability of agricultural land. And then it goes on to read that paragraph I just read. On page 91, it specifies prime farmland. It breaks down the different sections of the county. So in the prime farmland section, it says prime farmland as defined by the U.S. Department of Agriculture is the land that is best suited to food, feed, forage, fiber, and oilseed crops. It may be cropland, pasture, woodlands, or other land, but it is not urban and built-up land or water areas. The land is either used for food, fiber, or is available for those uses. The soil qualities, growing season, and moisture supply those elements needed for a well-managed soil, which is economically maintained to produce a sustained high yield of crops. Prime farmland produces the highest yields with minimal inputs of energy and economic resources. Farming it results in the least damage to the environment. It goes on to say, a recent trend in land use has been the loss of prime farmland to industrial and urban uses. The loss of prime farmland puts pressure on marginal lands, which generally are more erodible, are droughty, and cannot be easily cultivated, and generally are less productive. When you go into page 123, it talks about the development of the comprehensive plan and what it serves as. So it serves as the Des Moines County Comprehensive Plan serves as a basis for managing growth and development in the unincorporated area of Des Moines County. The plan provides guidelines for developers and the general public in understanding and predicting future land use planning within the county. It provides a legally defensible and socially responsible mechanism for managing such factors as the type, rate, amount, location, and/or quality of future development within the county. If you jump down, it says the development plan consists of written goal statements. The goal statements are supplemented by objectives, policy measures, and map designations that establish guidelines and locations for areas of growth, growth stabilization, agricultural land preservation, and environmental resource protection. The next page talks about existing land use. So it says current land use in Des Moines County is primarily agriculture, a majority of which is grain production. Industrial development is generally a land use that is thought of as obtrusive. Several of these areas are now a combination. It talks about the development, I skipped a couple sentences, the development that's happened and things go in places where they didn't necessarily plan or belong. Several of these areas are now a combination of inappropriate mixed land uses. Then it jumps down to future land use. It says the single most significant commodity to Des Moines County is the prime agricultural land. The county currently has 3 agricultural preservation districts. In a county where the economy is based on agriculture, preservation of those lands that produce the highest yields should be pursued. Then on page 145 and 146 of the plan is two maps. One is the existing land use, and shown in pink, light pink, it's an agricultural preservation district, which is in, just on the south side of Pleasant Grove. Then if you look at the future land use, the whole northwest corner, along pretty much the whole north part of the county, and then down the east side of the county is all proposed as future land use as an agricultural preservation district. So then the plan has a statement of goals. So it talks about goals and it talks about land preservation, which is chapter 352 in Iowa Code. And then it also breaks down those goals and has objectives. So goal number 1 is to ensure orderly and efficient growth of residential, commercial, industrial, public, and semi-public land uses while maintaining the general welfare of the county. Objective number 2, or objectives for future growth, number 2 is discourage development from locating on prime agricultural land. It talks about policies for future growth. It says Des Moines County recognizes and accepts that normal agricultural and environmental conditions come with rural living. While Des Moines County encourages development to locate within cities, the following guidelines are for where new development should occur in rural areas. And it lists A through I. The 3 that I highlighted is on marginal or poor agricultural land that is not environmentally sensitive, with access to adequately constructed roads. And I think it's important to remember the type of roads that we have in rural Des Moines County. And just for reference, how many semis, up to 60 for one turbine, would be coming on some of the gravel roads. And then letter E, where it is least disruptive of existing agricultural activities. Goal number 2 is to protect and conserve the natural, human, and economic resources that are the basis of the agricultural economy and rural lifestyle of the county. The objectives listed under there recognize agricultural land as the principal natural resource of the county and preserve those productive agricultural soils historically exhibiting high crop yields and considered most suitable for agricultural production. 2, discourage development on productive agricultural land that might hinder the ability of the agricultural community to maintain and expand its level of agricultural activity. And number 4, base land use decisions concerning agricultural land on the modern soil survey, as well as the compatibility of surrounding land uses. Then it goes on in policies under that same goal. Proposed development on agricultural land should be evaluated based on prime agricultural land criteria as stated in the Des Moines County subdivision ordinance, and preservation should be encouraged by creating an agricultural preservation zoning district as established under chapter 17B and 358 of the Code of Iowa. That goes back to those maps that are in that. So I just want to bring your attention to these things that you already have in place in the county. I've also given you a copy of a planning and zoning fact sheet, which was put together by Iowa State University. They actually also do trainings on comprehensive plans and ordinances. So basically what they did is they broke down the Iowa Code into bullet points, so it makes it a little bit easier to read. The comprehensive plan is a document designed to guide the future actions of a city or county. The Iowa Supreme Court has stated that the legal purpose of the comprehensive plan is to direct use and development of property by dividing it into districts according to present and potential uses. The comprehensive plan also presents a vision for the future with long-range goals and objectives, which is just what I read to you, for all activities that affect the local government. A county comp plan serves the following functions. The plan provides continuity. The plan provides continuity across time and gives successive public bodies a common framework for addressing land use issues. It allows communities to plan development in a way that protects its valued resources. Planning can identify environmental features like wetlands, ag lands, woods, and steep slopes and suggest strategies for preserving those resources from destruction or degradation by development. It also provides justification for decisions. Plans provide a factual and objective basis to support zoning decisions, and they can be used by communities to defend their decisions if challenged in court. Subsequent decisions that are consistent with these plans' policies, which is the comp plan I read to you, are less likely to become embroiled in public controversy. There's another 13 elements of the comp plan based on the Iowa Smart Planning Law. There was just a couple sentences I highlighted there. The land use element, talking about a map of existing and potential land use and land use conflicts, goes back to those two maps. It also talks about agricultural and natural resources elements, objectives, policies, and programs addressing preservation and protection of agricultural and natural resources, and then also the community character element. Objectives, policies, and programs to identify characteristics and qualities that make the municipality or county unique and that are important to the heritage and quality of life. So I think we would all agree that agriculture and farming are very important to all of Southeast Iowa, but specifically to Des Moines County. Also related to setbacks, I want to bring your attention to the fact that your ordinance already states, and I believe any ordinance should state, that setbacks can be waived. So if you have a non-participating property owner and they would like to waive their right to have that setback distance, that can happen. So if you have multiple parcels owned by the same entity, that enables the private property rights to be protected from that individual if the setbacks are waived. So I don't recommend that, but it is a possibility. I also want to bring your attention to the fact that obviously turbine technology is updating all the time. So there are no turbines over 600 foot in Iowa. There is one that is right at 600 feet on the northern border with Minnesota. Most of the turbines in Iowa are 300 to 500 plus, but this is a whole brand new arena for 650 to 750. So just to give everyone a point of reference, the turbine at New London is 412 feet. So if we're talking 650 to 750, we're talking another third to a half above that. So I think it's important to understand that these aren't turbines like we have seen in Iowa before. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that your ordinance does not have any sound guidelines. There is nowhere in the ordinance that it mentions sound. And I believe that that's something that needs to be looked at. So sound guidelines should include both audible sound and infrasound. And infrasound is sound that is not heard but felt. The best way that I've heard it described is like if someone's driving by and they have very loud music and you can feel it before you can hear it, that is what infrasound is. If you talk to anybody that has lived near a turbine or done any research about what infrasound does, it has impacts on people, it has impacts on wildlife, it has impacts on earthworms. The things that it impacts are very far reaching. So I believe that's something that you guys need to take a look at on the sound guidelines. The one thing that I did notice is that there are sound guidelines included in your telecommunications ordinance for telecommunication towers. Those aren't moving, and I know they can probably have a buzz, but they certainly don't have the whooshing sound that you get or the infrasound. So I believe that's an area that needs to be looked at. There also needs to be lightning protection and fire suppression addressed in the ordinance. Many of the fires that have occurred on turbines in the past couple of years have been due to lightning. Mechanicsville has gotten a lot of attention because 2 different turbines had 3 fires there. And you were able to visit and see that, Mr. Broker. So there needs to be lightning protection systems added to the turbines, and that is something that other counties have started putting in their ordinance. Companies typically don't prefer to install that. They prefer to take the risk because they know that maybe only a couple would get hit or have a potential problem. However, I don't believe that that's a risk that the company should have to shoulder, or neighboring landowners. The fire suppression system should also be required on all turbines. It detects fires through heat and flames, and is basically a simplified explanation is that it's like an internal fire extinguisher that helps suppress fires before they get out of control. Firetrace.com, which specializes in these, states that the odds of a turbine having a fire over its lifespan are about 1 in 100 turbines. The minimum total loss of a wind turbine fire is about $3.4 million. It can take up to 18 months to recommission a turbine due to a total loss from fire, and the fire suppression system would help with those issues. So I believe those are the things for sure out of the 16-point list that should be added. I believe that you see that there's quite an interest in this in your county, and I believe a lot of people have missed it. I know it was brought up in your last meeting that you held multiple meetings and gave opportunity. Unfortunately, everyone is busy and they don't realize until they find out something is going very near to them that there's an issue. And so I believe the unfortunate part is that nobody knew where this project was going to be located. Nobody knew that it was personally going to affect them, and that is why people are now getting, thank you to the press, the opportunity to give input. So I would encourage you to put a moratorium on and address some of these issues as well as others that we've brought up to your attention. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
Next person I have is Kenny Olson. If I have it right, you have 6 minutes.
You got it. All right. I don't have 40, but I got 6, so I'm going to do the best that I can.
You do your best.
I'm Kenny Olson. I'm the president of Des Moines County Energy Districts. I've spoken to this board before, which we are part of the 14-county organization, the Clean Energy Districts of Iowa. I'm going to read off a few facts to you. Iowa is a national leader in wind energy, producing the highest percentage of electricity by any state with a total of 64.7%. Iowa currently ranks second nationally in installed capacity. The wind industry directly employs 3,909 Iowans, that's a 2021 figure, including manufacturing, operations, maintenance, and engineering professionals. Wind turbines generate $72 million annually in lease payments to landowners in Iowa. And as a side note to that, in 2025, family farm bankruptcies have increased 55% over this time last year. Iowa is leading that, by the way. Wind provides significant property tax revenues to local governments. Wind projects contributed approximately $60.5 million in tax revenue in 2022. As an example, Mid-American's Prime project alone is estimated to generate $24 million annually in local property tax revenue and $960 million over the life of the project. This revenue supports local schools, roads, bridges, hospitals, and more. Nationally, wind turbine service technicians are projected to be the fastest growing occupation in the next 5 years. In contrast, 2023 was the deadliest year for catastrophic gas-related home building explosions in nearly 20 years. Studies have shown that air pollution from coal power plants is associated with greater mortality than previously thought, and that such deaths have decreased due to air pollution regulations and coal power plant retirements. There are issues with recycling turbine blades, but they are non-toxic and landfillable after their 20 and 30 year life. Wind is not perfect, but can be very beneficial to finances of our local farming community and our local county in general. More than half of the energy produced in Iowa currently comes from wind, and our neighboring counties are benefiting from that. The Des Moines County Energy District sent a report on wind energy out to the Board of Supervisors for their review. If you've not had a chance to read that, I encourage you to do so. The report actively discussed the 16 line items brought up by Noah Seawicks, which were touched on previously, and I'll address 3 of those. The 5,280 foot or 1 mile setback from property lines, it effectively bans most projects. It's legally known as a de facto ban for wind turbines. This is unreasonable and legally challengeable, likely. The CSR standards for greater than 65 is highly restrictive, as much of Iowa farmland is CSR 65 to 90, so this would block almost all turbines, and that is also unreasonable. However, she did touch on the sound guidelines and lightning protection, and in our report, we discussed both of those, and both of those are reasonable, so I encourage you to look at those. I encourage the board to read and research other portions of the report that were sent out, and let me know if you have any questions. And at the end of that report, there was an invitation. Howard County Energy District has offered to coordinate and pay for transportation for our local stakeholders to visit their counterparts in Howard County to ask questions and see how it is that they are being so successful in their incorporation of wind energy. This invitation is open to our county supervisors, our county road supervisors, because in contrast to the previous speaker, the construction of wind turbines have improved county roads overall, and in particular, those leading up to the turbines. We also would like to invite any public school superintendents and local farmers who are considering wind on their property to meet with their peers who have actual experience with this and are successful. Wind works when it's done right, and this is my opinion, not read from the facts of earlier. Since Iowa already creates 65% of its energy from wind, we do not need a 2-year moratorium to figure that out. But, as the developer stated earlier, we could do better with our ordinance. I encourage the board to take advantage of the invitation to Howard County, and not just to highlight the benefits but to ask about some of the other concerns that are going to be brought up today, including relationships with neighboring farms, other potential pitfalls, so that we in Des Moines County can approach this issue with the highest potential for success. Thank you.
Brian Messer, 9 minutes.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to people and take their thoughts into account as you work forward on that. I'm not up here to make a bunch more enemies. I got a whole list of them already, you know. I do want to give you my perspective on it. The farm economy's not in great shape out here, you know. I've spent like 45, 50 years financing farmers and working through things. And this is one of the tougher times we've been going through, and it looks like it's gonna happen for the next couple of years too. This wind project gives us an opportunity to reduce some of those losses we've been experiencing. It ain't gonna cover them all, but it'll help. One of the things we talked about here was the setbacks and the value of the farms. Landowners aren't a bunch of rubes. They can figure out what's the most economic benefit for their land. We're not talking about, you know, selling whole farms to these people. They're looking for half an acre, maybe an acre at the most, and they consider the roads getting in there to them. Right now, their proposal works out about $30,000 a year for that 1 acre. In my entire farming career, I've never even come close to that. The average over my lifespan of financing farmers, if you're netting between $100 and $200 an acre during really good years, that's a great deal. This one thing makes a lot more sense for us. Like I said, we don't have a lot of opportunity. You guys that are paying the county bills don't have a lot of opportunity. You need some more tax money coming in here. Somebody's gotta pay that. We get a company in here, we don't have any Amazons coming to Yarmouth. I looked, no Amazons. This is an opportunity that's gonna help everybody in the county if it comes to fruition. So we need to think about that. People have expressed that they don't like looking at these windmills, that they're a detriment. I don't like looking at them either. I don't like looking at houses and barns and everything popping up all over the county and any flat place that's out there. I mean, grain bins, same thing. They're necessities to make things work. We gotta deal with that. I wanna talk about property rights. I don't intend to stop people from building a house or a barn or chicken coop or whatever out there on their farms or their acreage or whatever they've got. That's their rights, I think. I think we need to keep that into perspective too. The current guidelines that we've got, we keep hearing comments that other counties have adopted pieces of what we've got and, you know, integrated them into their ordinances. I've heard comments that we do have a pretty good ordinance. Well, at least we got something in place for working with it. I know you work with regional planning and on guidelines that we could use for this and how to improve it. I think Lee County's pretty well adopted that. They were gonna have their 3rd reading on it today. I think cooperate with some of these other counties that are making it work. As far as the moratorium, I think that'll kill this project. I think it'll kill any others in the future. Nobody's gonna wanna deal with a bunch of, people that can't make up their mind when we put things on hold. You talk about your comprehensive plan review, I think that's all right. And if we're gonna review the whole comprehensive plan, let's put a moratorium on everything. Let's stop any housing, stop any factories, chicken coops, she sheds, whatever the hell it's gonna be. Let's stop them all for 2 years. And it'll kill this county, something like that. Well, I think this moratorium on wind energy by itself it's gonna damage us too, like it or not. Setbacks, I think you can work with stuff like that. Noise, I think you can work with stuff like that. Those are all gonna be stuff, this company's really been pretty good. Before I got it, I've been working with them about 2 years now. Spent a lot of time doing some research, trying to figure out. I talked to a guy in Texas, they put 150 up on his farm. And he's gonna put, that was their first phase, and they were coming back. He was real happy with this company. They've been real cooperative. They made some changes, what I looked through and read the lease deal. There were a couple changes that I'd like to see, and they were happy to make them. They've come back and they're not only giving us upfront money to enroll in this, but they came back and increased that upfront money because they found it in other areas they were paying more, and they come back and fixed it here. They've got good neighbors, I don't know what you call it, but they're making payments to good neighbors, trying to compensate people for being next to one, but being cooperative. That's all they're looking for. And I got this, everything's telling me that I've talked to them, and I've spent a lot of time with them. They're not gonna sell this thing to the highest bidder once they get to it, and they're planning on operating it. I think that's important. We look at who's gonna be here. They talked about this operation up in Mechanicsville that flew apart. From what I found out, this was an experimental, couple of towers and turbines up there that an undercapitalized company came in and tried to build their own, and it was a disaster. We've had disasters here before. We had a tornado up there through Yarmouth a year ago. I'm still picking up stuff out of fields. But we're working through it. We'll get it. I appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Dale Schmeiser?
I'll pass.
All right. Doug Barkus? Sorry, I put your name.
What's that?
3 minutes.
I just have a few random thoughts. I didn't come prepared to speak. I don't have handouts. I don't have a printout. I don't have a laptop. I live on a heritage farm. It's been in our family 150 years. You're talking about taking prime farmland out of production. So I have some concerns. These easements that I've looked at the map right now are less than 750 feet from my house. They will literally be in my backyard. And if this wind project isn't gonna make or break Des Moines County, it's not gonna be a get rich quick for the farmers. It's not gonna save them. If you think you're saving the planet, it's too much. But what about some of the safety concerns? We have the Yarmouth Fire Department, the Mount Union Fire Department, Mediapolis, how are they gonna get a fire out on one of these towers that's that tall? And the helicopters, the life flight can't come in and land anywhere close to them. You know, people are gonna have to take an ambulance to be transported to an open field. You know, and we're probably, I don't know for fact, I don't have any facts with me. How close to the river are we? Where I live, it's probably 20, 25 miles as the crow flies. The Mississippi River is the largest migratory bird path in America. How many thousands of birds will be killed? They pay $25,000, get a kill permit. They don't even go out and count. They just pay it's like instead of getting fined, $1 million fine, they just buy a kill permit. You know, and the other thing that concerns me, that upsets me really, is we're pitting neighbors against neighbors. You know, I've got neighbors that have signed up. I've got people like me that think there should be a moratorium, and you're just pitting people against one another. And if they're the godsend that they want you to make them out to be, why don't we put one up on every corner? It's like casinos. Oh my God, they're gonna take millions of dollars to the county from this casino. Fix your potholes, fix your bridges, fix your roads, fix your hospitals, fix your schools. Didn't happen. This project isn't gonna improve anything. So I just feel that there needs to be a moratorium. We need to slow down and look at the other, you know, factors that play into this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Darwin Popper, I think you might have wanted to donate, but I didn't write it down, so do you want to speak?
Pepper. You working on pepper?
I say pepper, sorry. I wrote, call whatever you want.
I can't read my own writing. Don't worry.
3 minutes, sir.
I appreciate owner property rights. For the most part, yes, a person should be able to do anything they want with their property, again, within reason. But at the same time, some of those decisions can be a little of concern to a lot of people. It isn't such that these particular ordinances that we're trying to develop are trying to put anybody out of business or keep anybody from getting the benefit of what they want to do with their property. But when you look at the overall situation as to what Melanie has spoken to, it could be a situation where a person's decision affects so many people in so many ways that the whole thing becomes unbearable. The one thing that the ordinance, I think, will do is, if we have the delay, it gives the supervisors the opportunity to really delve into the programming more deeply. There's a lot of information that's come out on both sides today. All of that needs to be taken into consideration. But it still bears the fact that it may not be such that we can tell a property owner what to do with his property. But it is possible to make it such that the overall rules are difficult to meet, particularly with the companies. The one gentleman spoke, is going to have turbines on his land. He feels that it's it's going to be a benefit to him as far as his future, financially particularly. But at the same time, the underlying problems of the sound, the wind, the effects of damage have a major effect on his own property as well as those of the people around him. So again, property rights are a mainstay, and I do believe in them. But there are things sometimes that we have to give consideration to make it a little more difficult to make a bad decision. Now, the other thing in the paper was mentioned very vaguely,
Sir,
that there could possibly be.
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap it up to honor the 3 minutes.
I will wrap it up. Thank you.
Bill Crawford.
I'm Bill Crawford, I'm from Henry County. My family has farmed in southeast Iowa since 1851. I'm pretty sure they didn't, when they invested in farming, they didn't count on an outside investment to keep the farm going. I know I'm not near as old as Brian Messer, but I've been farming for 46 years myself. Not once did I realize there's cycles, but most of us get through it. I personally did not want to rely on an outside investor that not only takes a half an acre of ground for a turbine, but has control over the whole farm. Couple questions down. I'd like to debate, but we're not here to debate. Do you know where the energy's going? Is it staying local? Is it gonna lower the utility bills of Des Moines County residents?
We're not discussing a particular
That was a
project.
rhetorical
We're
question.
discussing.
That was totally
Okay,
rhetorical.
Okay, just the ordinance.
Yeah. So another thing I want to talk about is your fee structure in your ordinance. If I read it right, being number 2 at the bottom of this page was just F, E and F. The fee structure is $2,500 for every 100 acres of land. The young lady said that there's 12,000 acres signed up. Quick math, that's $300,000. But it's used to compensate the county staff and officials in the review process. I assume, I shouldn't assume, we all know to not assume, but you have a third party that's writing your ordinance. There is a possibility they would be taking the applications. So they're getting paid to write ordinance. They will get paid to take applications. That organization is also doing the ordinances for Lee County. And it looks to me like when you burn both ends of the candle, it's pretty easy to recommend rolling out the red carpet. So with that, thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Marlo Bates.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Arlo Bates. I'm part of an organization called the Iowa Land and Liberty Coalition. We advocate for landowners' rights as well as the benefits of producing energy here in Moines, Iowa.
I hate
Yes,
to
sir.
interrupt you. You're with what now, the Iowa what?
Iowa Land and Liberty Coalition.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Wind energy has been around for Iowa for 30-plus years. It's a proven method of producing energy, and it's an important part of why Iowa is an energy exporter and not an energy importer. I appreciate that the county is looking into their ordinance, and I wanted to touch on a few things that we think are important. Setbacks. So currently the setbacks are set at 1,800 feet. As you look into updating the ordinance, it's important to consider all landowners, including those who want to participate in projects. Usually, we'll recommend setbacks around 1,200 to 1,500 feet. Too much further than this and you run the risk of unintentionally phasing out some of the smaller landowners that would likely benefit from a project like this the most. From what I understand, a 2-year moratorium is being considered. I'm not sure a moratorium that long is really necessary. I think it sends a bad message to the company, to landowners who are looking to take part in this project. And then lastly, as for decommissioning requirements, we're in favor of stronger decommissioning provisions. These provisions protect the county, they protect the landowner, and we appreciate that you guys are looking into strengthening those. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to follow up with more information in the future as well.
Either or both of the shades. One wasn't sure.
I'll talk about the Doppler. You can talk about the mic. You can talk to us while I'm gonna do the Doppler radar and do the number. Never mind. I'm Darren Shea from Minneapolis. Do you need my address? Do you need my address? I'm in Minneapolis, Iowa. What I want to talk about, what we need to with the moratorium, part of what I think is important, we need to talk about the Doppler radar. Wind turbines the size of the St. Louis Arch. Think about it. Our radar comes out of Mount Joy, Iowa, where I'm from, originally from Elbridge area. It could very well interfere with our severe weather. My husband and I, we experienced the Minneapolis tornado directly because we took a direct hit. We've had in the last 2 years 4 tornadoes go right through that area. This is something I just discovered, that in Nebraska, a town was just about decimated because they could not get the weather radar to give them the warnings they needed. Part of being a board and being county advisors is to keep us safe. This is just one aspect of everything. So if we are safe now with the radar right now giving us our warnings, and we're not safe after, we have to be the exact same. This medical part of the helicopters coming in, the medical is important. Having weather, Doppler radar telling us our severe weather warnings. And I'm gonna be talking to them, I reached out to them to find out in Davenport, and that's the closest to us. We have the other radars in Des Moines. We don't have anything close to us here, but to get through this is important. So that is very much on my mind. The next thing is the migratory, and I know this, Melanie, I back everything Melanie said. And I don't want to even reiterate that, but I want to talk about the Mississippi Flyway. If anybody is aware of our migratory birds, taking the safety of us as citizens and also our migratory pattern. The Mississippi Flyway is one of the major flyways in this country. We're gonna mess with our ecosystem. The bats go right over us, and the birds, when they migrate, if we know down by Nauvoo, we had over 1 million snow geese that came in. We have 40 migrating ducks that have come in. We do have golden eagles, which are on the endangered species list. We have to worry about our eagles. Eagles and raptors only fly at 300 feet in their altitude of migration. What are these? These are 750 feet high. We have video from, I don't know the city or what county it was in, where we show a video of an eagle going right into one of these, flying around and hit. I know there's takeaways for that, which is disgusting to me. But if we start, I'm gonna hand this to you. You can look at this migratory, how important this is.
Thank you.
And here's the other one for our ducks. And we're messing with Mother Nature. This is something that's been for thousands and thousands of years. And our birds and our bats, our butterflies, monarch butterflies come in. These are pollinators. We can't mess with that. Now, some of the migratory birds do get up to 10,000 feet, but this is their landing area. So coming into this, if you look at the map, where is it located? Up and down, if you look at the wind turbines up and down the Mississippi River, you do not see them. There's a reason for that. This is an important thing that I think needs to be addressed. That's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Niall Shade? You're good?
She
All right.
covered it all.
Fair enough. Okay, I think I got everybody, but does anybody else that didn't sign up and didn't donate their time want to speak? All right, thank you for everybody for your patience figuring this all out.
We'd like to thank you, the board of supervisors, for taking a lot of this stuff into consideration. I wrote some notes, and I'm sure Tom wrote more notes than I did, but we'll look at stuff and it gives us something to sleep on during the day, because I can't sleep at night thinking about this stuff. So thank you all very much.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate it.